Hello everyone and welcome to Cyberlock Entertainment, and again, it's been a while. Latest videos I've been doing taking longer than expected, but I thought, you know what I haven't done? I haven't actually ranked the DCEU movies when DC's clearly one of my favorite things, if you can tell by the amount of DC videos I do on this channel and the amount of DC videos that are coming to the channel. But I'm just gonna go through and rank all the current movies up to the latest Suicide Squad. And warning, there's opinions in this video, so you may be mad at them. You probably will be, because I have some very different than what you'd consider the norm for DC movies, I guess, or the new norm. It seems a lot of people are really liking some stuff that I didn't find too great, but let me just get started. Let's go ranking DCEU's movies. Okay, so I've gone and renamed them. So we got, at the first, DC Masterpieces. This is just a masterpiece DC movie. Then we have the very enjoyable movies. They're good, enjoyable, it's self-explanatory. Won't watch again. Now this doesn't mean it's a bad movie, it just means I watched it, I may have enjoyed it, I may have thought it was alright, but I probably won't really want to watch it again. At least that DC characters, this is where, well, at least it had DC characters. It may not be good, but the DC fanboy came out. And then Dear God Never Again, which is promptly named because it was so bad that it physically hurt to watch, which there are some of them. So let's go and start with what the top of the list. Also, there isn't that many DCU movies. We expect there to be more, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So yeah, I really expected more. I don't know why, but hey, still at the start, I guess, kind of. Right, Aquaman. Now, Aquaman to me, this was the first time I'd seen Aquaman media, I guess. And I really, really liked this one. I thought it was very creative. Atlantis was really cool. There was a lot of cool technology that I didn't know Aquaman had with all its underwater stuff. The story arguably isn't that not interesting, that's the wrong word. Isn't complicated. It's very simple. Aquaman's mother meeting his father in the lighthouse, having Aquaman, and then that's not meant to happen because she was going to get married. You know, royal stuff. And then obviously there's the half-brother who is the rightful king, but Arthur's the rightful king. There's some good twists in it. There's some good action, some really good action. I loved the costumes. It was just nice to see Atlantis properly for the first time ever, really, like in DC for me. And it made me actually more interested in Aquaman as a whole character, so it really succeeded there. Now, the problem with the movie, for me, is pretty big on rewatching, I guess. And I don't want to get into the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard controversy, because that just isn't this video. But I did not like her as Mira. I just thought she was very bland and unlikable. I don't know. She just didn't sell the Mira to me. She just seemed really uninterested in everything. Which, when she's technically when she's one of the main characters, it's kind of big, but overall, really enjoyable. So I'm gonna put it very enjoyable. I'm hoping the sequel goes more into the whole Atlantis families, like the other families we get to see. Like, we saw a bit of them in this, but like, I want to learn more about Atlantis, which from the sounds of it sounds like we're gonna. So yeah, Aquaman, it's a really enjoyable one that I do like watching again from time to time. Alright, Birds of Prey. Now, this one is interesting to me. When I first saw it, I really enjoyed it because we got to see a whole underground look of Gotham. I thought Black Mask was cool. It was very different than normal Black Mask, and obviously it had Obi-Wan Kenobi himself, Ewan McGregor, so that's always a bonus. Zaz was interesting in it, a different take. Pretty horrific scene where he's torturing people. Didn't expect that. I guess I should have, because underground Gotham isn't exactly a nice place. I liked the take on Black Canary. I thought Huntress was cool. We just need to see her a bit more. Harley Quinn obviously was standout. She always is in these. I thought it had good action. There was some great fighting scenes especially in the fun house at the end. That was one of my favourites. But when I think about the movie, I don't remember much. Like, you can watch it and then you just don't remember much about what actually happens in the movie. It isn't a memorable movie. There's some great fight scenes. I liked the characters. I wanted to see more of it takes a while for them to all team up and become the birds of prey. It's like right at the end of the movie, which is a shame because, again, it suffers from what Batman v Superman suffers from, in my opinion, which is trying to be two movies at once. It's trying to be a Harley Quinn solo movie and a birds of prey setup. And it doesn't fail either, but it doesn't succeed fully in either. Like, if it went one way, if it was a birds of prey, I'd have liked it way more, and if it was just a Harley Quinn movie, I'd like it way more, but it went for both at the same time. So the first act is Harley Quinn focused, and then they just get the birds of prey in, and they are cool to see, but I just wanted to see them more working together. It's just right at the end, which is a shame. But it's not the best DC movie. It is kind of forgettable. I did enjoy it. I don't think it's going to be one that many people would talk about, really. I didn't think it had much hype. It kind of came after the first Suicide Squad, and we all know how that went. And it was a bit weird to have this after what is such a bad movie. But I think I'm going to put Birds of Prey... I mean, I would watch it again, just to try and remember exactly all that happened. I watched it again recently as well. It's just not a memorable movie. I would watch it again, but I'm going to put I won't watch it again. But I wouldn't watch it again more than once, I think. Unless I forget about it again. Alright, and here we have, oh my god, Justice League. Like, this movie just hurts. This was the chance for it to bring back, like, this came after Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman was like the hope of the DC movies, because we had Batman v Superman, which I'll get to, obviously. We had Man of Steel, which, yeah. This was trying to be the Avengers. This was meant to be as big as the Avengers. And this is just one of the worst films I've ever seen. There is no sense in what's happening. There is no character that you particularly like in it. Even if you like them in other movies, there's just nothing. There's no chemistry between the team really either, or if it is, it just comes late in the movie. The villain, well, I mean, you'll see with the Zack Snyder version what the villain was meant to be, but there was just no personality. He was a mindless general, but you barely even get that because I don't think Darkseid even appeared in this version. The jokes are awful. The colour of the film looks awful, especially it looked like Spy Kids at the end with the purple. I know what they were going for as well, but it just looked so bad. And they just completely ruined Cyborg by, you know, cutting him out of the movie. The editing was weird, the tone was off, the story was so boring. They somehow made a collaboration of some of the most popular superheroes boring. That's the biggest fail you could do. I don't think there was one redeeming scene in this film that I actually enjoyed. I was just so sad, especially because I've been recently rewatching Justice League Unlimited, which is phenomenal, and it's so interesting. They don't even have the best villain in the pilot episode where it's just aliens, but they make the chemistry between the team work, which this didn't at all. It was so bad. So it's going to Dear God Never Again. And when you find out that it wasn't even meant to be like this, never should have been made. They should have, I don't know, it's just a mess. It's a mess of a movie. Here we have Man of Steel. Now, I'm not the biggest Superman fan until recently, where I've been really liking the character because there's never been media that I've watched for Superman. This was my first Superman media, and when I watched it, I just came out with a meh. It wasn't that interesting to me. I didn't remember much of it. And recently I've been watching Superman animated series and absolutely love that, and I've been reading some Superman comics and I'm starting to like Superman a lot more. He's really interesting when done right. I know a lot of people like this movie. I don't hate the movie. I have watched it again literally like 2 weeks ago, and I still had the same opinion. It felt like I didn't get to know Superman at all. There were so many flashbacks. which didn't really explain him. You barely heard Superman talk for like the first half of the movie. We barely got to see him as Clark Kent actually speak. They went for a Batman Begins type one with Superman, which I don't think his character's meant to be like that. Especially, I watched the first Superman movie, and he's just adorably dorky, and it's really charming and interesting. And this one, he's just brooding. He's Bruce Wayne. It does get better towards the end, where he starts showing his more hopeful side, but Zod wasn't interesting as a villain to me. The designs was just really grey and uninspiring. Though I gotta say, the action in this movie is really good. Like, it looks like Dragon Ball Z. It's really cool. I would like a Man of Steel 2, because I think they could do better. But for an origin story, it didn't get me hooked on Superman. I don't think it got many people hooked on Superman. But I think a problem is after this they went straight into a Batman v Superman instead of Man of Steel 2, which was probably needed to just flesh out his character more, because I didn't learn much about the Superman in this movie at all, so I couldn't connect with him in any way in the later movies. Until probably Zack Snyder's Justice League, where they actually spent time on him a bit more, which is funny because he was meant to be dead. Yeah, I thought the reasoning of his father was really weird, especially with the tornado scene. That scene was just really weird. But yeah, not my favourite film at all in DC. I wouldn't say it's a bad film. I'd say it's a flawed film. If you really like Superman, I think you probably love this, but then there's also people that said it's nothing like Superman. But if you want to see, it's been so long without Superman media, I'm sure people like it because there was Superman in it. I'm not gonna put it at least ahead DC characters, because there was very enjoyable scenes. I really liked his father. I probably wouldn't watch it again now. I tried watching it again just because I heard people talking about it so much and like they really liked it. And then, no, not for me. But if you enjoy it, go ahead. Shazam. Oh, Shazam. Now, I don't know much about the Shazam cat before this, but this movie was so enjoyable. Now, Shazam was just a really, really enjoyable movie. It reminded me of Steven Spielberg type movies. You had a great family dynamic with the Shazam family, which I didn't expect when I first saw the trailers. I thought it could be funny or it could be really bad, but they really knock it with the emotional stuff. They explain Shazam's origin greatly. The actors kill it. It's such a fun movie to watch and just an enjoyable good time, and there's not many movies like that anymore. A lot of them are just over the top action or really dramatic and sad, or I mean there's always superhero movies, but this felt like a nice old fashioned Steven Spielberg movie just with a superhero twist. There was DC connections, quite a lot of them, but like it fit on its own as its own movie, and I think that's where DC movies succeed the most, when you can see it as not being part of a main universe. And that's where Shazam really shined. The humor, it hit most of the time. There was sometimes it misses, but overall it was really funny. Billy Batson, kid actor and adult actor, exactly great. They were just great. The villain, not my favourite. I think the actor played him well. Dr. Savannah, didn't know too much about him. I didn't know of him, but like, I liked how they included, obviously, Shazam is magical, and they didn't shy away from that fact, and we had the demons, who weren't my favourite looking, but I like that they've included them, so I hope we can go more into magic in DC soon, which it seems like they're doing, so I'm excited for that. So yeah, I think I'm going to put Shazam in the masterpiece, because honestly, it just is. It's just such a great movie. It's easy to rewatch, and I loved it. So Shazam, DC masterpiece number 1. Now after I've done all this, I'm going to rearrange it into an actual ranking, because I always do rankings on this channel. Okay, next we have Oh Dear God. Yeah. What can I say about this movie that's good? Nothing. I really just disliked it. Well, when I first watched it, I liked it. But that's because it was a DC movie, and you know, the fanboy came out thinking about it. It was so bad. Like, you have a movie called Suicide Squad, and you kill off, I'm going to say, well, you kill off 2 technically. You kill off 1 character in the squad, because Slipknot was not in the squad. Slipknot was not a character. They could have made him an interesting character. I don't remember what this guy sounds like or if he even spoke in this movie. I remember there was a lot of bad pop songs, but that's the studio, so yeah, the studio just ruined it completely. I didn't like Jared Leto's Joker, granted we didn't see much of him. Just not an interpretation I like anyway. I think the look of all the costumes is awful. I really hate Harley Quinn's. I much prefer her look in the Suicide Squad. I think that's the best looking Harley. This one looks like just so generic. Captain Boomerang though, he was great in it. Will Smith was alright, but didn't really sell it to Deadshot as me. I thought, yeah. But Captain Boomerang, he's the best in this movie. He's just so funny. I love... The character looks like he enjoys playing him, which is a shame in the new Suicide Squad. I thought the storyline was awful. There was nothing interesting. It was a big beam in the sky. There was the whole Enchantress thing. I didn't like that at all. The mission just was so boring. And again, they made a boring movie with the Suicide Squad. How do they keep messing up this bad? But yeah, Suicide Squad, it belongs in Dear God, never again, as this should have never been made. Again, it's the whole studio takes it and tries to do their own thing. Studios don't know anything about what they want. They don't know what the audience wants at all. They're so blind to it. Because this is what we get from Justice League and a Suicide Squad movie. Two of the most interesting ones that you could do and the most hyped ones, and they just missed it completely. So, dear God, no. This movie is awful. Just so bad. Killer Croc's in this movie. No one remembers Killer Croc in this movie. There's so many forgettable characters. It's so bad. But yeah, it's probably going to be the bottom. Alright, and next we have Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, I really enjoyed this one, and I didn't think I was going to, because obviously Justice League 1, I was like, how can they fix it? It's amazing what they took out of the original Justice League movie, because they pretty much took out everything that made it good entirely. They took out Darkseid, the main villain, which again they're doing way too early, they were doing way too early. Because Darkseid shows the endgame. Like, look how they did Thanos. They teased him from the start of Avengers all the way up. That was great. Darkseid instantly. It's a bit weird, but he is needed if you're doing Steppenwolf, because there just is no interesting villain in that case. Though they made Steppenwolf interesting in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which... that's just remarkable. They actually made him good. I never thought that would happen. Everything looked better. The costumes looked better. We had black suit Superman. Cyborg was actually the most interesting character in the original movie. Did not expect that at all, because he was so bland, because they literally butchered him on purpose, I hear. But yeah, Cyborg scenes were cool. Flash had an awesome scene. It's way better than the Russian family scene in the original one. It's such a shame to see what could have happened. Now, again, the movie is way too long. It would have never worked as an official movie. It would have had to be done in this whole streaming thing, which is brand new. So, I'm just really interested to see what would have happened if this had come out and this was the Justice League we got. It would obviously had to be cut down. There was some scenes that definitely could have been cut out. It was a long movie. It's a lot to rewatch, this one. But I thought every character really shined here. I liked seeing more of Superman and Clark Kent, Martian Manhunt. It was a cool cameo. The whole Injustice type thing at the end is interesting to see what we could have gotten, which obviously we probably won't get. Who knows? HBO Max maybe. One thing I did find a bit weird was Batman's attitude in the film. I don't know. I didn't feel... some of the dialogue was weird for me, for him. He didn't get to do much in it. Whereas in Batman v Superman, he had a lot of standout scenes. I don't remember a standout scene with Batman and Justice League, which is interesting. What can you do? So yeah, it's close to masterpiece for me. Maybe is it enjoyable or masterpiece? Is it enjoyable or masterpiece? It's what it could have been. It could have been a great trilogy, as I've heard, with Zack Snyder. It's just too long to be masterpiece for me. If you're making a film like this, it needed to be shorter to be rewatchable, because it's just too long for cinemas, which is where these movies are meant to be seen. Obviously streaming, you can watch it whenever, but if they had some way to condense the story and fit in more it would have been a masterpiece. But yeah. And there is still some scenes that I was like not too fond of. But yeah, it's a great movie, and it's insane how much better it is than Joss Whedon's, because okay, and here we have the first Wonder Woman. This is just a masterpiece. I watched this again recently as well. I love this film. It's just so enjoyable to watch. It's a great take on Wonder Woman in World War. The action scenes are great, but my favorite part is actually Chris Pine and his group with Wonder Woman. I thought that was the most enjoyable thing. It was like a little kind of mini Suicide Squad in a way, but none of them really die. Except for obviously Steve Trevor, who, rest in peace, he was the best. I loved Steve Trevor in this. I loved the background characters. I loved seeing Themyscira. Seeing the old fashion, set in old World War times was great. No Man's Land scene is still so good to watch and so cool. She's blocking it with the shield. Seeing Wonder Woman fight was amazing. Her character was great. It was a great introduction to Wonder Woman. I think there's a reason that it's the most popular or highest rated DC film. But yeah, Wonder Woman, masterpiece. And that really brought the hope, which is a shame because Justice League came after. And here we have Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And I guess there's two editions here, the extended edition. I'll just count extended edition as the same one. It's a lot better than the original one, because the original one be a Dear God Never Again. But to me, this movie, it tries too hard to be 3 or maybe even more different movies. It's trying to be the first Batman movie in this new DC extended universe, which isn't new anymore. It's also trying to be Man of Steel 2. It's also trying to set up Wonder Woman. It's also trying to be Batman v Superman. And it's also trying to be the Dawn of Justice, setting up the Justice League. Problem is, there's just so many scenes that feel like it's from a different movie in this movie at the same time. Like, it should have been one of those things. And preferably it should have been Dawn of Justice. Batman versus Superman is the whole Dark Knight Returns thing. Not my favourite to start off your movie like that with them fighting each other. But if it did it well, sure. But it didn't, in my opinion, do anything that well, except made Batman and Superman scenes kind of cool, I guess. Like the Batman scene, really cool, and it made you want to get the Batman movie, which obviously we don't have to that. Wonder Woman was cool in it for what she appeared, and I guess it made a bit of hype for Wonder Woman, but I just found this movie to be really boring. It didn't make much sense, especially Batman versus Superman aspect did not make much sense why they hate each other so much. I get it's because Superman destroyed buildings while fighting and that caused the deaths, but then Batman's also here killing. I guess it's they're both hypocrites in a way, but there was so much going on. I didn't like Lex Luthor's portrayal either. Or if it was meant to be Lex Luthor Jr., I don't know. Again, you can't have the connection between... You can have it between Superman because Man of Steel. This is the first time we've seen Batman, and he's really interesting here because he's a lot different than other Batman. Which is why the whole him killing people, or killing some people, is shocking. Because we haven't had time for us to see that. I know Michael Keaton did it. I know that whole thing, Tim Burton. But we didn't get time for this Batman to know we didn't get time to know what this Batman's all about. Instead, we just see him instantly in the car, gunning down people. It's shocking to see. Because back then in the Tim Burton, I don't think there was the whole Batman killing rule thing, but that's now become so ingrained in the character. So if they wanted to do that direction, fine, but we needed to get time to learn about this Batman, but we don't have time to learn about this Batman because already he has to be in conflict with Superman. They must have that part of the movie. We have to the fight between Batman and Superman. That's the selling point of this movie. Then Wonder Woman's also here. And then they also have the cameo of Aquaman and Flash. And then at the end they also have Doomsday. Death of Superman storyline is Doomsday. You've just skipped to the end while not establishing the start of the movie, or the universe, or the characters. You can't just kill Superman off in the second movie and then bring him back in Justice League and no one cares. We wouldn't have time to care about these characters at all. So when Superman dies, you're just shocked. You're not exactly sad, you're just confused and a bit angry. And it doesn't hit the emotional punch at all, because in the end credit you even see his coffin lift, so you know he's not dead. You obviously know he's not dead. It's the second movie in this universe they're trying to set up. They're not going to kill off Superman. The only scene I liked in this movie was when Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne were talking to each other and Wonder Woman was in there. I liked that whole thing. There was definitely cool interactions. I wanted to see them work together personally. I know that's not the movie we got or going for, but that's what I'd have liked to see. I think a lot of people would also like to see that instead of having them fight each other instantly. Obviously, they're not going to be best buds instantly. They're going to be, you know, competitive against each other and wary of each other. But to go on and Batman try and kill Superman instantly, like, it's not a good way to start off. And then to actually kill Superman at the end. And Doomsday looked awful. And Lex Luthor I just didn't like. The Batman warehouse scene of that is so good. It's so good. But yeah, I don't even think the fight between Batman and Superman was that good for me either. It was kind of in a rainy apartment. Yeah. It wasn't as cool as it could have been. I just didn't enjoy this one. I'm gonna put it in, at least it had DC characters. Which, God, when you put a Batman and Superman one, the Trinity is there, Batman, Superman and Wonder Woman, under Birds of Prey. It looks weird, but that is my honest opinion. And here we go. Here we have the Suicide Squad. My favourite DC film, straight away. This just hit perfectly what Suicide Squad should have been. It's humorous, it's risky, it's violent, it's fun, and it makes you care about characters that you shouldn't care about. We should not have cared about Polka Dot Man. We all love Polka Dot Man. Ratcatcher 2. No one has heard of Ratcatcher 2. Ratcatcher 1 you know, but Ratcatcher 2. One of the best characters, the heart of the movie. King Shark, amazing. Perfect casting. Peacemaker, amazing. Idris Elba, so cool. They even made Rick Flag good. I didn't like Rick Flag in Suicide Squad 1. I guess you can call it Suicide Squad 1. It's technically a sequel. I really like Rick Flag here. I was sad when people died in this movie. And they are not afraid to kill in this movie, which is what the Suicide Squad should have been about. You have to have the character deaths to make actual tension when you see the characters fighting. Something the first one failed remarkably. There was no sense of danger in the first movie. Slipknot died. No one knew about him. He was literally just there to remind you that there was actually bombs in their neck, because you would not remember that. Diablo dies in a sacrificial way, so it's not even... Yeah, Suicide Squad 1, we're on Suicide Squad 2. They're not afraid to kill people, that's how it should have been. I was terrified anytime I saw a character standing too close to another one. I thought, King Shark's gonna eat Ratcatcher 2 here. King Shark's gonna die to that thing. Peacemaker's just gonna shoot Idris Elba in this scene. I was terrified, and I loved that, because you don't get that in many movies, but you get it in this one. The story, it's not the most complicated, it works. Starro was the greatest choice ever. No one thought we'd see Starro. He worked amazingly in this film. The tone was perfect, the music was perfect. There's not too much of it, but when it is there, it's great. This is a masterpiece and one of my favourite films of recent years. And here we have, oh my god, Wonder Woman 84. One of the worst story movies I've ever seen. This is a travesty. After the stellar first movie, you come out with this movie. It literally feels like it was written by a 12-year-old fanfiction writer. Nothing makes sense. There was no rules in the world. Wonder Woman's character doesn't make sense. Steve Trevor coming back doesn't make sense. They somehow ruined magic and made magic unbelievable in a world full of magic and demons and superheroes. How do they do that? It's impressive. Cheetah is the most bland villain in this movie. And she's a main Wonder Woman villain. So they messed up a main Wonder Woman villain. And they had, oh my god, I don't remember his name. The Mandalorian. Pedro Pascal. Who did he play again? It wasn't Maxwell Lord and his wishing stone. That makes no sense. You have to have rules when you put in stuff like this into the movie to make it believable and make you actually care about the threats that are happening. When they build a wall out of nothing because the wishing stone commands it, you're like, okay, cool. What is happening in this movie? Why are they doing this? Why is Steve Trevor and Deanna Prince in a car chase at all? How could he fly a plane? Why could they fly that plane? Why is he back? And why is it that the only wish that has any sort of con to it, in a sense, is Wonder Woman's, where Steve Trevor doesn't just come back normally. No, they couldn't just do that. They couldn't do that and have the message they were trying to do. They had to make it takes over another person's body, in which Wonder Woman doesn't have any remorse for that guy whose whole mind has been invaded by a dead guy from World War whenever, and then proceeds to have a relationship with her dead boyfriend in this other guy's body. What? The ending makes no sense either. So the wind is stopping Wonder Woman from reaching Maxwell Lord. Yeah, they also play the Batman v Superman music in this, weirdly. And she can't get the lasso through the wind. But now the lasso does get through randomly, even though the wind's still going there. Never explained how. And it now has the power to reveal the truth to everyone, in which Maxwell Lord's motivation completely goes away. I don't know what his motivation was, even greed. Cool. And he's like, I have to find my son. So this guy who now has no presidential blessing because his wishes have gone, gets in a helicopter, a military helicopter, flies through a rioting America, rioting world actually, and somehow finds his son in the middle of this riot, who is remarkably unharmed or not in any danger because his son's been wandering the whole of America. He comes out of the trees like a... No, Disney movies wouldn't even do... Old Disney movies wouldn't even do this happy ending. And now his son's fine. I don't even know what happens to Maxwell Lord. I don't care what happens to Maxwell Lord. I don't care about anything in this movie. It was so bad. It was nice to see Wonder Woman again, but that's the only good thing. Even Steve Trevor wasn't as likable in this movie as he was in the first one. No one near as likable. Cheetah's motivation was so... Oh. Cheetah just wanted to be more like Wonder Woman, so she turns herself into an apex predator. Who wishes they would become an apex predator unless they were furry? But I don't think she was. Oh, this movie was so... It might actually be the worst one. It might be... It could be worse than Suicide Squad. There is just no rules in what Wonder Woman can do here. The flying scene's good. I will give it that. That's the whimsical stuff. They were going for a whimsical nature, but they just made it Adam West. No, this was worse than Adam West, which is... Adam West isn't bad. Adam West is amazing. Adam West is meant to be as stupid as possible. This movie somehow became stupider than Adam West without wanting to be stupider. Man, this is a bad movie. This should be a textbook of how never to write a story. It literally... I think my creative writing pieces had more sense in this, and they made no sense. So much bad in this movie. I don't think there was any good in this. The start of the movie is one of the weirdest parts, honestly, where it's just Themyscira, a random tournament where she cheats. That does not mean anything in the whole plot at all. It never comes up again. It's like 10 minutes long. Why? It also doesn't make any sense in terms of the timeline, but who knows where the timeline's at right now. So she doesn't help with any of the other major things, but helps with the Maxwell Lord, and none of the other heroes are there with the Maxwell Lord. Well, they probably don't exist at that time. I hate this movie. It's so bad. Nothing makes sense, and it was such a bore to watch. Was there even any good action scenes in this movie? She wears the armor for some reason, yet it doesn't really... I mean, I guess it protects her from Cheetah, but she loses her powers. You know, it's a terrible movie. It's going in Dear God Never Again. I'm going to ramble about this for hours. How bad this movie is, and I need to not do that. So, now we do the ranking. So, honestly, as bad as Suicide Squad is, Wonder Woman 84 is worse. It is just a worse movie. Suicide Squad had a plot that wasn't as stupid and kind of made sense. It just wasn't good, but at least it made sense. At least it had rules. Wonder Woman 84 had no, you know what? It's so bad. It's at the bottom. It's actually the worst DC. I thought nothing could be worse than Suicide Squad. I was wrong. And it's the latest, well, second latest. It's one of the latest movies, which is such a shame. I hope Wonder Woman 3, when it comes out, can redeem it, make it more like Wonder Woman 1, make just anything, please, because, man, that's a downer, especially after the great first one. And then obviously you have Justice League, which it had the main cast, so it's going to be better than Suicide Squad, just because it's nice seeing the DC iconic heroes finally. Batman v Superman, it had ideas, it just didn't succeed in my opinion, any of them really, except, no, not even really many. I mean, I was interested to see where they're going with the characters, but they just never went anywhere interesting to me. Birds of Prey, it's an enjoyable one. I've watched it again, but like, I don't think I'll watch it again now. Man of Steel, I've tried to find what everyone really likes about this one. For me, I just don't like it that much. It's not a bad movie, it's a meh movie. I've actually somehow ranked these as I would accidentally without changing them. Maybe I'll change them. I think I've actually... Yeah, I've just gone full order. Okay. Aquaman. Very enjoyable, great to see. Wasn't a fan of Mira. And it's a main character who shows up a lot, so it's a shame because it could be much higher if they just had a better Mira actress, or just better written character. Justice League, it's great. It really showed me what Zack Snyder was trying to do, and it's different. I think the problem is it would have worked if we already had other Justice League movies beforehand, maybe as a spin-off Elseworld tale. I think that's where it would have worked the most, but it was enjoyable. I wanted to see where it goes. It was just too long to be a movie you could watch again a lot, unless you really loved it. But I did really enjoy it. Shazam, it's a great one. You can always watch it again. Very enjoyable. Great acting. Wonder Woman, it's what I wanted other DC origin movies to be like. It's so much fun to watch. The action is amazing. And at number 1 we got Suicide Squad, the newest one. So good. I love this movie so much. I do have trouble watching it again though, because there isn't, once you know, there isn't much tension what's going to happen. That's the only problem I have with it. Watching it again is just nowhere near as when you watch it the first time and have no idea what's happening, but it's a great movie, and I'm very excited to see where DC goes in the future with the movies. So, yeah, that is my official ranking so far of the DC live action movies. I'm going to do the animated movies, because I've been watching a lot of them. I've almost watched them all. That's what I've been doing in the background, because I think that's one that not many people have done. There's so many good ones though, like DC animated movies, perfection. Some of them are bad. Yeah, there's a lot more DC content coming, there's a lot more new content coming, so stay tuned to the channel. If you like the video, subscribe and comment below what your rankings are, because I'm also interested to see if your opinion is different, which it will be, because I have very different opinions I found out, and yeah, I think a lot of people put Batman v Superman higher than Man of Steel, but I'll see in the comments below, let me know your favourite DC movies and what things you want me to rank next, because that's the main part of the channel, ranking. But as always, thank you so much for watching. You can check out the Discord, Patreon, and a lot more links below in the description. But this has been Cyborg Entertainment. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to Aaron Bishop and Luke McLeod for supporting me on Patreon. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can check it out in the description below, as well as a lot of other links.